Hello and welcome to Bach Conversations. Here we are in the Bach Archive in Leipzig. I have the great pleasure in interviewing two of the researchers here, Manuel and CHRISTIANE. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd love to talk to you about your life, and just starting with the earliest things, perhaps to begin with, would be very interesting. What do you think, CHRISTIANE, about your early life, and did you grow up in a musical home?
My parents were not professional musicians, but medical doctors. But I grew up in a classical German, cultural, educated bourgeois family. All could play an instrument at a higher amateurish level. Concert and opera visits were very frequent, and occasionally house concerts were organized with other music lovers. I myself was in a children's choir and got lessons in flute and in for vocals.
Yes, and you are a flautist.
Yes, a flautist.
Yes, that's wonderful. And did you know about the early flute when you were young, or did you learn about the early flute?
No, first I learned to play the recorder, of course, and then the modern flute.
Right.
Yes, I studied. I began to study the baroque flute in my 20s.
Yes. How did you feel when you first discovered the baroque flute?
It was a completely different thing. Another sound, another world.
Did you have a recording which made you think, that is beautiful, I want to play that instrument?
Yes, it was a recording with Keuken brothers, with Sigiswald, Bart Keuken and Wieland Keuken. And Bart became like a hero for me.
Yes.
One of the pioneers of the old music movement.
Wonderful family.
Yeah, wonderful
family. Yes. Manuel, what is your earliest memory of music, and particularly Bach?
Yeah, I don't come from a musical family. I'm from a normal working class family and started to play the guitar, accordion and piano when I was a child, and we played in our music group also some Bach, but it was nothing special. When I was 19 years old and started studying musicology here in Leipzig, even at this time I wasn't interested in Bach and his music at all.
Really?
Yes, Bach's music seemed too artificial and too old to mean something to me. Yes.
However,
it just changed in a seminar with Peter Wolny, now director of the Bach Archive. It was a seminar about the first Leipzig cantata cycle. We analyzed the music and listened to the pieces, and Peter was so full of enthusiasm, and this infected me. And later I made an internship here in the Bach Archive and got involved into the source study projects, and this influenced my own research, especially for my master thesis and so on.
Yes.
That's how I got to Bach.
Yeah. So you have to thank Peter Wolny.
Absolutely, yes.
A lot. He's a remarkable man, isn't he?
Oh yes, he is.
Huge knowledge and understanding. So what were the main influences that led you? In other words, we've just heard about Peter Wolny. Are there other influences, recordings and concerts that inspired you to say, this is for me?
Yes, for me it's, I grew up in the birthplace town of Handel, and so my career choice was initially not only the music of Bach, but also Handel's music as well. And during the Handel festivals, which has been taking place since the 1950s, also in the GDR times, occasional performances with interpreters of the early music movement, for instance, like Alfred Deller or Edward Melkus.
Wonderful. So, what would you say, Manuel, is the most stimulating and inspiring aspect about living and working here, and particularly at the archive?
one of the greatest things working in the Bach archive is that you can get as close to Bach's original manuscripts as no one else in the entire world.
Yes, that's right. And you're holding something there which we will talk about soon.
Yes.
Yes, that's wonderful. Just tell us what it is.
It is the not a manuscript, but the original print, so the first print of the Goldberg Variations, printed in 1741 in Nuremberg.
Yes, a very precious document.
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent. Now, you find living and working here a wonderful privilege, I'm sure. So what is exciting particularly for you?
Yes, to have time to deal with things down to the last detail, and above all to deal with the original sources. But for me, not only research itself is fun, but also mediation in the seminaries of the university or in introductory lectures before the concerts, but before the Bachfest concerts. Because among other things, the questions of students and the often very well-informed concert visitors are often very stimulating for my own thinking.
Yes, and you've worked here for about 10 years, haven't you?
Yes, I worked for about 10 years for a special project, the Bach Digital project.
Yeah. Can you tell us about Bach Digital? This is a most remarkable resource. I haven't used it very much, but in my research I found it absolutely fascinating. I can look at all the original manuscripts myself, and I've discovered certain things just in my own research that I haven't noticed in some editions. And
yes.
It's been very interesting. It's just so wonderful. So you've been involved with that, haven't you?
I'm personally very proud of the Bach Digital project, which, however, has not come from my work alone, but it's a work of a whole team and several institutions. And the Bach Digital database is designed to provide Bach researchers, professional musicians, but also amateur music lovers with information on the works of Johann Sebastian Bach and the other composers of the Bach family and their whereabouts. This constantly updated information is accompanied by high-resolution scans of the surviving sources.
It's high resolution, it's wonderful, really.
Yeah.
And is it the aim of Bach Digital to eventually cover every existing?
Yes, of
manuscript?
course.
Yes.
We want to present to the users all surviving sources with high resolution scans, and one of the benefits of using a database like this compared to traditional methods of research is that sections of manuscripts which once belonged together and are now kept separately, often in different libraries all over the world, can be joined together again in a virtual library accessible to everyone.
That's wonderful. So Manuel, what would you say is particularly difficult about your research?
Yeah. Well, musicians, scholars, musicologists have researched Bach's life and his work and written about his music for generations. And as all these previous scholars have done such an excellent work, it is today it means looking for the needle in the haystack, doing Bach research. So if you today want to contribute new knowledge to Bach scholarship, you have to research very remote source material or reconsider an enormous musical and historical context and background, and also drill down deepest philological and scientific investigations on long-known sources to find new information.
Do you feel like a scientist sometimes?
Sometimes, yes. So, don't get me wrong, there are still hundreds or thousands of open questions.
That's right. And everything is controversial potentially, and so many people disagree on so many points.
That's right.
It's extraordinary.
This is challenging.
And in a lovely way, though, sometimes it's fascinating to have a debate about something. And sometimes I've been, like in the Bach network in the UK, for example, there are people disagreeing violently with each other, and then at the end they all embrace. So it doesn't always work that way, of course, but it's very interesting to see the different points of view.
It's a highly creative work, which is also a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And you do look like you're having fun as well.
Yeah, we do.
Definitely. So some people say that it's a waste of time. Some performers think it's a little bit of a waste of time to study musicology. They see it as an intellectual pursuit, something that's in the head, and it's potentially very time-consuming and something which stops them from feeling deeply, which is a strange thing to me, because musicology to me has always been very inspiring, and it enhances my emotional connection with the music enormously. Very subtly, it's hard to define, but it's nevertheless true. What do you say to such people that say, what are you doing thinking? Don't you just want to feel the music?
Sometimes you need musicology to do any music. For example, I'm currently working on the St. John Passion, and the source material is so complex. You need a musicological understanding to create an edition which is playable for musicians. There are 4 different versions which were performed during Bach's lifetime, and until the 1970s we didn't really know how these 4 versions fit together, and which was performed during Bach's lifetime and which was intended by Bach to be performed.
Yes.
So you need musicology to solve these problems.
And he often changed too, didn't he, through his life?
Yes.
That's something that's very relevant, isn't it, to a conductor? The conductor should really be extremely interested in all these studies, and they are indebted to people like yourselves at the archive. So I think all performers are indebted. So obviously you see a connection between the mind and the heart.
For me, the musicological study of music or the work of a composer is not only excessively intellectual matter. On the contrary, usually you have a deep emotional experience with this music, and therefore you do not only want to know something about it, but also to understand more of it. But for this process of understanding, you need both intellect and feeling. For without feeling, the intellect is cold, and without intellect, the feeling is blind.
Yes, that's very well expressed.
This applies to the understanding of every music, of every composer, but especially to the music of Bach, which for me is both intellectual and emotional, and on a very high level.
Yes, it's fascinating how the uneducated person can feel the emotions in Bach, even from the youngest age. When I was a little boy, I understood this particular kind of joy in Bach. And then when I grew to understand more and to study more and to learn more repertoire, I could understand where that came from. It's very mysterious, but I think the more one understands, the more one deeply can feel. And finally, I'd love to get my hands on that early copy of the Goldberg Variations. Actually, I won't be getting my hands on it, but I'd love to see it. Would you like to show me this? I'm very privileged to see this.
Absolutely. So this is the very first edition of the Goldberg Variations, printed in 1741 in Nuremberg by the printer Balthasar Schmidt.
Yes, recognize this. You see that a lot. This is the original. So you don't need gloves.
We don't use gloves by presenting the material, because we are more sensitive by touching the paper when we do it without gloves, and so we don't disturb the material.
Right, yes, that's beautiful.
So if you like, you can take it to your hands and have a look at it.
playing it in my mind here.
Yes, we're very used to play the Goldberg Variations. By regarding the clefs, you can also see Bach's handwriting, which comes from the original template Bach produced to prepare this copperplate edition. Also a little Bach's handwriting in the vaulting over there. For the headings as well.
Yes, wonderful.
Is it one of your favorite clavier pieces by Bach, the
Yeah,
Goldberg
I should
Variations?
sit there. Yeah, I've played this many times. Yeah, for many years. So
Yeah.
it's a very joyful experience to play it. It's just accumulation of joy, and then a total change, and then back again, and then you get the very painful version 25,
Yeah.
and then light and more light. How do you describe this? You can't really describe this.
Yeah. So you used to play Bach on the piano. Did you also play it on harpsichord?
Yes, I've learned the harpsichord.
Ah, okay.
I've had, yes, and I've learned an enormous amount from playing the harpsichord, and I love to use a lot of those techniques on the piano,
Yeah.
subtly and carefully, although it can be controversial, like everything else. But I believe that it's a very important thing to play the harpsichord. You either come from the influence of the harpsichord or the early instruments into the modern instrument, or you come from all sorts of other traditions of the modern instrument from all the other periods.
Yeah.
So you always have an influence from somewhere. So I believe that you should really come from the earlier instruments into the modern instrument. Very complex subject and very subjective. It's fascinating to see this. The unusual markers, like the staccato.
Yeah.
There, you don't see Bach indicating staccato in that context very often at all.
That's right.
The ornaments too would vary, and when he played it, he would have varied the ornaments constantly. But it's interesting, the ones that he chose to include.
Yes, they are not that often in his manuscripts, but in the printings which were made for broader audience.
Yes. They had to do something with that space.
Yes, it's really funny.
You can't.
I'm not sure, but I don't think you find it this often in his manuscripts.
No.
No. So it's funny that you find it here in print.
He spared always paper.
That's
There
right.
was no centimeter without a note.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That saves money too, doesn't it? So the aria was only written once.
Yes, it was only written once. You have to go
This is
to the
wonderful.
start.
Thank you very much.
You're
And
welcome.
Thank you again very much to both of you. It's been a great pleasure to talk.
It was a great pleasure to us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, there's something special about this ceiling. Christiane, do you want to show me? Beautifully painted too. Tell us a little bit about that.
In the 18th century, the score was used for celebrations and parties and musicians dictionary. Oh, okay, yeah.